What's up, guys? I'm James Cruz, Pitmaster here at Central City Barbecue in downtown New Orleans, and YouTube allowed me back for another week. I only got a haircut this week. I got my Xapron apron on, description down below, and I'm ready to cook a brisket for you. Let's get to it. Guys, what I have here is a certified Angus beef prime grade brisket, otherwise known as a CAB prime. If you pause the video for a second, I actually have it listed what qualifies as under the CAB program. So I'm going to actually walk you through the trimming process, the rub process with the rub recipe, and then how I place it on the smoker. So let's start. All right, guys, let's take a look at this brisket here. This is a full packer, okay, which means the point muscle and the flat are still attached together, okay? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep it simple. There's so many other names for the flat, for the point, things like that, but I'm gonna keep it simple. And we're not gonna go too crazy with naming everything on here. All right, you have two fat chunks of fat right here, which connect together. This is called the decal. Okay, we're going to be removing some of those. We're going to remove some of this silver skin. We're going to trim this thing up. And the entire plan really is to make this thing aerodynamic. So the first thing we want to do is flip this over. Okay, try to spin around to you. I want to take this off. Okay, now one thing is I could easily go through and take it off with one swipe. But what I want to show you is, for you guys just starting out, start with small trim, small cuts. Okay, don't get too crazy. Start small. Because if you go too deep, you're going to take away some of the meat. So let's make another small one here again. Okay? Let's go small one more time. All right, and the plan is here is I want it smooth, okay, all the way over. The next thing is, you see this gray meat right here? Or brown meat, whatever you want to call it? That's actually not it's not really bad meat. What that is that's done at the processing facility. What they do is when they cut the carcass in half, they hit it with what they call an antimicrobial steam pasteurization process. Basically, it's almost a hot steam bath, and it, in a sense, kind of cooks the meat. Well, we don't want that on there because what's going to happen is it's going to crumble up and dry up on us. So get your knife, go straight down. All right? I'm trying to do this backwards. Usually I have this facing me. You don't want to take too much off. Let's take that off. We're going to keep all our trimmers over here because for you sausage makers at home, that's good savings right there. Or you can grind it up for burgers. Let's smooth this off. And you see right here how I have my knife on a 45, always at a 45. So I can go straight through, keep it smooth. All right. Next thing you're going to do, I'm going to start cleaning up this flat part here. This thing wants to slide on me. Let's take it off. Like, again, little swipes. You don't want to take too much of the meat off. Meat's paper thin right there. All right, let's take some. So what I'm going to do is, I can spend the next 10 minutes doing this. So we're going to do is we're going to speed this up a little bit. So now we're back. What you have here is, this is the way I like to trim a brisket. See how round it is? It's very smooth, very aerodynamic. You got a good thick height on your slices. Now this one, from the processor, was missing a little fat on this part of the point and on this side as well, but I'm not too worried about that. There's a lot of intramuscular fat, which means there's fat on the inside of that brisket. Okay? And here's your flat over here. It's definitely well marbled. It's definitely something that it's going to turn out actually a nice juicy slice. So actually, let's talk about a slather, whether you should do it or you shouldn't do it. Some people say whether to slather or not to slather. I kind of like doing it a little bit. You could use a number of things. You could use yellow mustard, you could use olive oil, cooking oil, you could use Worcestershire sauce, hot sauce. You don't have to use anything. Sometimes the brisket is really wet right out the pack. But really, what the whole purpose of it is just as a binder for the rub. Okay? So I'm going to go just a light coat of yellow mustard. The other thing you want to ask yourself, what are we rubbing this thing with? Well, that's something right there. That is an argument for the ages right there. What do you actually rub this thing with? We're keeping it simple. I'm going salt and pepper. Okay? I think beef thrives with salt and pepper. Speaking of beef, cows are vegan or vegetarians, aren't they? So I've got a question for you. All right, speaking of beef, if two vegans got into an argument, is it still called a beef? All right, let's start this rub here. What we got here is my handy shaker. We're going half a cup of a coarse black pepper. I'll tell you why I do 2 types. Half a cup of, say, a restaurant grind black pepper. Okay? Half a cup kosher salt. All right, there's 2 things there for this. One, I like a 2-to-1 salt to pepper ratio. Okay, the other thing too is I like a coarse black pepper and then something finer for 2 reasons. One's texture, one's a little more heat, and then your salt to balance it out. One thing I like to do is I personally like doing sides first, and the reason why is because my hands are all over this top right here. If I do this top first, my hand's gonna probably mess that rub up. So let's get the sides done. Remember, like last week, nice gentle motion back and forth. All right, get the side ready. Okay, and we're gonna go nice moderate coat across the top. It doesn't have to be too crazy. All right, pat it down. Yeah, that coarse black pepper is definitely gonna help with the bark on this thing. Flip it over. Let's get this side now. We said do a sweeping, fanning type motion. Okay, go back over. They don't call me Rub Bay for nothing. Let's get the thing on the smoker. All right, guys, I positioned this brisket on this top shelf in the center. You might be asking, why am I going fat cap down? All right, the reason why is because that heat source is actually coming from underneath, and you use that fat cap as a barrier to kind of protect your meat. So it comes up and around. That's why I wanted that round shape. Anyway, let's put this thing to sleep for a little while. All right, guys, 1 hour in, and it's time to spray. Let's keep the surface area wet. Okay, it helps adhere smoke, and it prevents the edges from drying out. I think it's looking nice. We'll come back in about another hour. All right, guys, it's been 2 hours. I'm about to open the lid, flip the brisket over to where it's fat side up so I can get even color on both sides. Spray it. Tell it good night for another hour. See, it's actually taking out some nice color so far. So what we're going to do right now, spray a little bit of this side on the bottom half. At this point, put the thing down, flip it up and reverse it. Okay, sorry about that. I'll spray this side now. There we go. Back for another hour. Alright guys, we're at the 5-hour mark right now, and right now the brisket is in the stall, okay? It's the dreaded stall, no one likes it, it's not everybody's best friend. Well, what is the stall? The stall is technically evaporative cooling. Well, what's evaporative cooling? The meat's sweating, that's all it's doing. Kind of like if you go running, you start sweating, it's your body's way of cooling you down. So the meat's sweating right now. Once it goes through the stall, then that point it hits a sprint to the finish line when this thing's about done. So at this point right now, I'm checking to see if the fat's rendered, and it's getting there. See that right there? It's got a little crustiness on the outside, but it's getting gushy. It's getting close, and then once I feel like this fat is kind of rendered a little bit, we're gonna wrap it, and I have a couple wrap options for you, okay? So, let's tell it good night. All right, guys, it's been about 8 hours. It's time for the wrap. We've already passed the stall. The fat's already been rendered. You can almost push through the thing. It's got great color. We're about 90% of the way through the cooking process. I'm gonna give you 2 wrap options. I personally like wrapping it in butcher paper, but not everybody has access to butcher paper all the time, and foil is another option. And the only time I'd actually wrap foil is if you go close to that 90% done, you want as much smoke and color and bark on that thing. Foil can tend to kind of wash out the smoke flavor in a sense, but at the same time, it also does make it a very tender brisket. Okay? So I'll show you both options. Alright, this is a foil wrap, right? Similar to what I did in ribs last week. I would fold this way, press down. Okay? I would fold this way, get that other sheet to come along board with it. Press down. You create an envelope. Alright? You want it really, really tight. You don't want any steam, any smoke. Well, there's no smoke in it. You don't want any steam, any moisture, anything escaping. You want it very tight, and it's gonna go back on smoker just like that. But I'm not doing foil today. Let's get this out of here. I'm going paper. Okay. This is a little tip that I do all the time. This is probably, I don't know, I probably wrap thousands and thousands of briskets, and I do this every single time because I'm a creature of habit. All right. So first off, I'll start with fat side up. Okay. And the part that I'm really talking about is I want to fold this here, okay? And in my head, I'm saying fat up, right? And I'm coming here and pulling tight, pulling really tight, meat up. Flatten, flatten, okay? You want this really tight. Tuck it in here, wrap over. Flatten, okay? Really tight, up against the meat. Pull it over, okay? Flatten here. Remember, meat up, right? Want this tight. Fat up, okay? So right now we're fat up. Keep that in your head. What we're gonna do now, and I'm trying to do this kind of backwards. Usually I have it facing me. I want to tuck this in. I want to tuck that in really, really tight, okay? So now I've created a very tight envelope of paper. And I'm actually about to put this back in the smoker. It's gonna finish up, and next thing I'm gonna show you is how to finish it probe tender. Man, this thing is looking really, really nice. Okay, I mean, what I really want to do is probe tender, but it's still kind of grabbing just a little bit. All right, let's come back in about 15 to 30 minutes. All right, guys, this thing's been wrapped for about an hour 35, hour 40 minutes. It's got to be done. I got my hot gloves on. Last time we checked, this thing had a slight grab to it. Let's see, what we reach for is see if we can probe like butter. This thing is sliding through. There is no give and there's no resistance whatsoever. You know, last time, like I said, it had a little grab. And for your temperature, guys, I'm in the 205, 207 range. And that varies depending on the brisket. This thing how jiggle it is. No. Jiggle it. No. I'm dumb. All right, little guy, let's go home. All right, guys, I'm ready to slice the thing up. It's been resting for about 2 hours. Been here all day long. It's hot in this pit room. Let's get the slice here. All right, I'm gonna wrap this thing. Look at it. That paper right there is just full of brisket goodness. Okay, look. Oh, look at this thing. All right, now there's so many different ways that people slice a brisket, okay? What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna take a couple of notes from the Texas guys. They like to slice across right here, right? Stop at about the point, and then do a turn. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna slice right through this thing. Okay? Look at that. I'm not even squeezing. So I'm gonna come back to that in a second. Okay? Let's slice it up a little bit. Look at that. That is beautiful, isn't it? Man, look at this. Look at the juices running out of this thing. You got some Texas burn ends. We could actually take the rest of this point right here, come to the side, save this part here for some chopped brisket, and then we can do some other burn ends. All right, so we got some fatty, we got some burn ends, we got some slices over here. Man, this thing looks good. I can't wait to dig into it. So we grab a piece of this slice right here. This thing just pulls apart. Look at that. You can't get cooked much better than that. Oh my. No, she didn't. Look how juicy that thing is. You can't beat the salt, of course, black peppers come out of it. That B&B post-oak chunks. I'll tell you what, that Masterbuilt Gravity Series 560 did a hell of a job on this thing. I'll tell you one thing. Where I'm from, somebody's saying, yeah, you're right. Eating a bite of this stuff. Try one of these burn ends. Man, C&B Prime did it again. That was fantastic. I mean, I can't eat all of this. I'm gonna share it, but man, that's some good stuff. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remind you basically what I did today. I started with a C&B Prime brisket, about 14 pounds. I trimmed it down to about 11, 12 pounds. Put a light busted slather on it. Then I gave you guys a rub recipe. Now with salt and pepper. Got a light dusting on that. While the Masterbuilt Gravity Series 560 smoker was getting up to temperature, which the temperature is 250 we're smoking at, I put it on, and about every hour I was spraying it with water, just kind of keep the edges wet, kind of keep it moist, because the smoke adheres to a moist environment. At the same time, I kept an eye on my wood shovels. I was using B&B post-oak wood shovels. Great smoke flavor, great smooth, flavor. You can't beat it. At about the 8-hour mark, I was ready to ride. this thing, the fat had run down. It was sticky. That's one thing you're looking for. You wanted to see if you can also push through it. It was starting to get kind of jiggly in a sense. And then I gave you guys 2 wrap options. We went with the foil option, but I went with paper. Showed you guys how to wrap it tight. We went back on the Masterbuilt, and it went about another hour, 40 minutes. At that point, that thing was ready to come off. I mean, it was pro tender. You know, it's that 205 to 207 range. And the reason why I say that, that one finished around that range. It might finish as high as 210. It might finish at 198. It's got to be pro tender though. That's your key right there. Let it rest for about 2 hours. So at this point, we're looking at almost a 12-hour day, including actually over 12 hours, including trim and everything. So be prepared, stay hydrated, have a good time, and this is what you get. So again, guys, look, I like everything you see here, and I want you guys to keep following me. This is video number 2. I'm learning. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Google. You can also follow me as well. I'll have all those links below and also be on the screen. If you're ever in New Orleans and you want to stop by the restaurant, come on by. I'm here all the time. Ask for me. I would love to talk to you. We'll talk some barbecue, give you tips. Send me a message on any of our social media platforms, my personal ones. If you have any barbecue or grilling questions, please ask. Again, share, like, subscribe, do all of the above. See you guys next week.